Hey everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's time to talk SummerSlam, finally. So I did actually miss SummerSlam. I was away for the weekend, so I've been playing catch up over the past few days. I've seen Raw, I've seen all of SummerSlam now. I'm all caught up, and yeah, this is not so much a results video as more as it is my thoughts and reactions to it, and yeah, what went down. So let's start off with the opening match, which off the top of my head, I struggle to remember. Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. And of course, Liv Morgan retained and Dirty Dominic Mysterio turned on Rhea Ripley and sided with Liv Morgan. And we'll hold off what happened on Raw just for the minute in case you haven't seen it. The rare case that you haven't seen it yet. I mean, come on, it's only the biggest party of the summer. But yeah, I thought this was a solid opening match. In fact, better than solid. I've previously stated that Liv Morgan's not one of my favourite women's wrestlers, but she's quickly climbing up that ranking. For me personally, there's nothing about her in-ring ability that I don't like. It was just more the character, but now she's got a bit more with Dirty Dom and stuff like that. And I think there's a bit more to her character now, which I'm really liking. And of course, everyone loves Rhea Ripley. She's bloody brilliant. Pun the pun. And Dom is also great as well, and I think they played this one well. I know the most viewed clip of the weekend was Rhea Ripley's dislocated shoulder. I thought that was kind of just weird, but I suppose in terms of her character, it makes her look like a badass, so each to one's own. Wasn't my cup of tea, but everyone else seems to love it, clearly. But other than that, I thought the match was brilliant. I thought they have really good chemistry together. It has a decent story to go along with it, which is, you know, pretty much what it is. I read somewhere that Dave Meltzer said that this pay-per-view was like if you're into wrestling, it's not going to be that, but if you're into like storylines and stuff, this can be one for you. I think that was absolute utter rubbish. The wrestling on this show was brilliant and the stories are also brilliant. So if you like wrestling and you like not sitcoms, but dramas, then you're going to like this. And this is a fine case of one of those. So yeah, brilliant opening match to open the show with Liv Morgan defeating Rhea Ripley and siding with Dirty Dominic Mysterio. So the next match, I am doing this off the top of my head, and I watched it a couple of days ago, is Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker for the IC Championship, and Braun Breaker is our new Intercontinental Champion. I did predict this, however, it was one of those predictions where I was like, oh, yeah, actually going to do it, and they did, and I'm happy to see it, personally. I love Sami as champion. I wasn't thrilled about Sami dethroning Gunther. It wasn't because I don't like Sami. In fact, quite the contrary, he's up there with one of my favourites on the current roster. It was more from the case of the way that Gunther lost the title in the sense that he got like complacent or cocky. I feel like it made him look silly, which for a champ, the longest reigning IC champ, I wasn't a big fan of how that ended. However, Sami's had a phenomenal one with it. Excellent matches with Chad, the Bronson Reed triple threat. He had a decent match with Breaker at Money in the Bank. And I read online, because obviously I'd seen the highlights, so I kind of knew the results, and then I went and rewatched the pay-per-view, and I saw that some people were saying that this was a glorified squash match, a glorified TV match. No, it wasn't. Like, a TV match, yeah, maybe in length, but it definitely wasn't a squash match. Like, Sami had a good amount of offense in it. I mean, for God's sake, Braun went straight into the post literally the minute the bell went, so it definitely wasn't a squash match. It was just a quick match, but it did make Breaker look dominant, which is good. That's what we want. We want to build new stars. So let's see where he goes from here, and let's see where Sami's story pivots him. Which now he hasn't got a title, he's free up to maybe do some tag team stuff. We'll get onto that in a bit. I went the wrong eye. We'll get onto that in a bit. But yeah, not my favourite match of the evening, but a decent one nonetheless. It was intense, it was fast-paced, and we got a new champion, and I wasn't feeling strongly for or against either men in this. I was just like, you know what, whatever happens, happens. Let's see what WWE can do with it, and they've been killing it, so why worry? Next up, we have got Logan Paul, the United States Champion, versus LA Knight, and of course, he is no longer the United States Champion because LA Knight walked out of this one with the championship. Now, I predicted that Logan Paul would win this one. Main reason for that prediction is because he hasn't had any title defenses. He's had like 2, and he's the 3rd longest United States champion. So I just felt like, are they really going to make him lose it yet when he's literally hardly defended it? They did. Definitely happy about that. I'm very happy to see LA Knight as a singles champion. I think everyone can agree that he's deserved that for the longest time. And it was a darn good match at that. Logan Paul, we give it to him every time, but despite all the controversies that man seems to find himself in constantly, he is phenomenal in the ring, and no one can take that away from him. And LA Knight is just a bona fide megastar. and now he can take his career to new heights and hopefully have the same treatment that Gunther had. I'm not saying have the longest reigning United States Championship reign, but at least having this mid-card reign that then elevates him straight to the main event World Championship, which I think we're all down to see. The match was solid. As I say, happy that LA Knight won. Despite what I said about Logan Paul not having enough matches with the championship, he definitely has made that title feel more prestigious. You know, he takes it everywhere. It's on his Instagram stories, it's on Impulsive, his podcast, any sort of like even stuff that we don't necessarily see, but like it seems like when he goes to like basketball games and stuff like that, like he always seems to have it on him, just from what I have seen. And that's great for business, you know, making that feel like the biggest prize in wrestling to him, then suddenly people start caring about it. Pre-Logan Paul, what do we have before that? Was it Theory? And then Ray beat Theory. Like, no one cared about it. And even before that, I feel like the United States Championship has been a forgotten mid-card title. And just like I give Gunther all the credit for making IC feel special again, I actually give Logan Paul the credit for making the United States Championship mean something again. And now for Braun Breaker and LA Knight, they have already got a leg up and making them feel at that next level because of the work done by the previous two champions. So credits to both Gunther in that respect and Logan Paul. They've done a fantastic job and it was a fantastic match. So next up, I believe, was it Drew next or was it Bayley? Well, we'll do Bayley next because we'll just start there. Bayley, the women's champion versus Nia Jax for, I just said it, the women's championship. And Nia Jax won this one. Teasers Tiffany Stratton cash in, which sort of gave the distraction, which is why Nia won. Didn't have any strong feelings for or against this match. It kind of zoned out, to be honest with you. Just not a massive fan of the storyline. Not a massive fan of Nia Jax. She's definitely got better, I think, in this return run. And I feel like her character's kind of interesting, but just hasn't pulled me in just yet. But that doesn't mean to say that it was an absolute failure, because it wasn't. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And Bayley lost the championship. It is what it is. I didn't think it was a great run, to be honest with you. Not that I don't like Bayley. I just feel like the championship run hasn't really done anything. Let's see what they do with Tiffany and the Money in the Bank briefcase with that. But yeah, that's all I already got to say about that one. It happened. It was alright. We got a new women's champion. If you liked it, tell me why it was great in the comments below. So let's do Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk next, with special guest referee Seth Rollins. And of course, Drew McIntyre pinned CM Punk after CM Punk let his emotions get the best of him and he went after Seth Rollins. I like the match. This is the one match that I watched the morning after before we went out and did our day's activities. We went to Thorpe Park. If you're interested in seeing that vlog, check out the Coast Diaries on YouTube. It will be up this weekend. So this is the one match I watched before we went out, and I loved it. I thought the match was good. I thought CM Punk looked great. Drew McIntyre is a world-class athlete. I did this like ranking a little while ago where it was like blind ranking in like S, A, C, D tier, and I put Drew in D tier, and my reasoning for that, it was a silent video so no one knew this, but my reasoning for that is because I didn't want to put him in A above Batista. It's one of those things that you post, you kind of like it because it gets loads of engagement and therefore the video gets loads of views, but of course Drew is not a D. He is, I would have put him in B, maybe even A. Like, he is on the run of his career right now. Fantastic competitor. Seth Rollins, I think everyone's a little bit skeptical in some ways about how he was going to like influence this match. Like, is it going to be all about Rollins? Does he out of place in this blood rivalry? Personally, I liked it. And if the rumours I'm hearing are true and they're doing Drew versus CM Punk at Bad Blood Hell in a Cell main event, I would be down for that. And then that kind of gives it a reason to replay that match because Seth Rollins got involved, even though he didn't really get involved, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, of course, at the end of the match, Drew has the bracelet on with Larry and AJ's name. It falls on the canvas. Seth picks it up and puts it on for safekeeping. Obviously, Punk sees that, thinks he's ribbing him, hits him with a GTS, goes over to McIntyre. McIntyre hits him with a low blow into the Claymore, the 1, 2, 3. Chef's kiss, booked to perfection. It works on so many levels. Punk failed at beating Drew because he let his emotions get the best of him, just like Drew's been doing throughout this whole downfall and letting Punk get the best of him. Punk's done the exact same that with Seth Rollins. It gives CM Punk an arc as to where he can go from here. He didn't really need the win, like we all know how good Punk is. McIntyre has been on a losing streak, so to see him get a win, that's really good because it kind of elevates Drew McIntyre back up again. We still want to see them two have a rematch. We want to see CM Punk and Seth Rollins have a match. You're like, what more can I say? Fantastic rivalry, booked to perfection, and we still want to see more of it. And when you've got a rivalry that's been brewing since Survivor Series, if you actually think about it, with Seth's reaction to CM Punk returning in November, and we're in August, almost a year on, and we're still invested, and there's not been any downtime in this rivalry. Best rivalry since the Bloodline 2022 with Sami Zayn and that. Absolute masterclass, love it. So then we got the 2 championship matches, starting off with the World Heavyweight Championship match, Damian Priest versus Gunther. And of course, Gunther is our new World Heavyweight Champion after Finn Balor turned on Damian Priest. And yeah, setting him up to get in the sleeper hold where Gunther, he passed out and Gunther won the title. This match was okay. It was like one of those like Drew McIntyre Gunther matches where it was hard hitting. I didn't love it. Like it was all right. I don't know if it was just a long show or whatever it was, but it just didn't quite click with me compared to some of my favorite match on the card was the Logan Paul LA Knight fight. Maybe even Rhea versus Liv Morgan. However, it was still decent. It had a bit of drama in there. The Judgment Day obviously have broken up. That is, like, it is what it is. It would have been cool to see Damian and Finn fight for the title. However, I don't hate the fact because that rivalry... I always think if a rivalry doesn't need a title, then it's all right to let it sit. Because if the rivalry is good enough to not have a title, it's a fantastic rivalry on its own. And we all want to see that match. So, a bit of positivity there. And, of course, it makes Gunther look like... Yeah, okay, he had... It saves Damian Priest because he was distracted. But Gunther still looked like $1 million. He looks like he's going to be a dominant champion going into this run. And of course, we now know from Raw that it's going to be Randy Orton versus Gunther at Bash at Berlin, which the rematch, I'm sure it'll be really good, even though we know that Gunther's going to retain. And then as for the Judgment Day breaking up, we now know on Raw that the new Judgment Day, being Dominic, JD McDonough, Carlito, Finn, and Liv Morgan, are still the Judgment Day. And then we've got Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley that have been outcast. So we've got a whole story there as well. It's sad to see the Judgment Day disbanded because it has been one of my favourite factions in a while, and I feel like apart from Finn and Dom, like losing Damian, like JD and Carlito just aren't interesting enough in my opinion. Liv's fine, and Dirty Dom and Finn obviously great, but they were in the original Judgment Day. Let's see how they can make that faction still feel as relevant as what it has been for the past 3 years. Are we at nearly now? WrestleMania 38. So yeah, 2.5 years. But yeah, a fine match. And then, of course, let's move on to the main event, which was, of course, Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa for the WWE Undisputed Championship. Cody did retain, but boy, was it out some shenanigans. So, of course, the Bloodline make an appearance. We had Kevin Owens come out. We had Randy Orton come out, which loads of people seem to... I had people comment that Randy wasn't there. Like, I don't know how people missed that, unless they just didn't watch the show, or maybe just read the results. But yeah, the normal shenanigans played. Of course, then after they got disbanded, Jacob Fatu came out, started burying Cody, put him for the table, had a injury, which we're not 100% sure if it's kayfabe or he actually has hurt his foot. And then Cody hits the Cody Cutter, both men on the floor, and then the original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, returned to give a Superman punch and a spear to Solo Sikoa, of course, securing victory for Cody Rhodes after he hit one more Crossroads. The match was quite slow. I wasn't a massive fan of it. I never really have been of these like bloodline matches with Cody. They're a bit different with Roman. I can't honestly explain why. Maybe it's just because I feel like Roman had more aura, or the fact that because like the title reign was so historic, it gave it that little bit of extra flair. I feel like this one was quite predictable. Even though some Romans were predictable in the outcome, I feel like it was quite predictable with Cody going over in this one. But nevertheless, it was cool to have a little bit of shenanigans backwards and forwards. Jacob Fatu's an absolute beast. Looking forward to seeing him have more like pay-per-view matches or PLE matches. And to have Roman back is obviously phenomenal as well. Roman, he's been gone since WrestleMania 40. Everyone's been wanting to see him back. We've had chants every week saying that we want Roman. Everyone wants to see Roman versus Solo and the two Tribal Chiefs go at it. Of course, my big hope is that we get the new Bloodline versus the old Bloodline, Roman, Jimmy, Jay, and Sami Zayn at Survivor Series. I think that'll be awesome, leading up to whatever they're going to do at Mania 40, whether that be Roman versus Solo, whether that be Cody versus Rock, whether that be Rock versus Roman, we don't know, but it's just great to have Roman Reigns back. Overall, SummerSlam was an absolutely solid show. I'm disappointed that I couldn't watch it like fresh without spoilers and stuff, because I feel like the Roman return would have popped me. I think the Dom thing maybe not pop me, but definitely would have been like, oh shit, Finn turn on Damien. LA Knight winning the United States Championship. There was loads of good stuff to be had on this pay-per-view. Good wrestling, good stories. Overall, just had a really good time with it. So, those were my initial thoughts and reactions to SummerSlam and a bit of the Raw after SummerSlam as well. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. Leave a comment below. What did you think of SummerSlam and what are your predictions going forward with Roman, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, subscribe for more wrestling action and I will see you guys in the next video. See ya!